Welcome to the people of Portland and beyond, episode 15. I have with me in studio, that's Ann Band. And why don't you guys introduce yourself?
It's actually Sands.
I was going to say, how do you pronounce that when it first started?
Maybe.
Yeah. So the Instagram is that Sands Band.
Yeah.
And so the name of the band is Sands.
Okay.
Yeah. So I'd just say Sands.
Alright, so you guys working on any new material right now?
Yeah. We're recording an album. We are putting out a kind of a single coming up soon called Hammerhead. We're in the studio a lot right now recording that album. And I think, I don't know, in the next few weeks or so we'll be putting out that single.
Nice. You guys playing any live shows recently?
Yeah, our last show was at Fail House. We've been really into the house show scene around here and also in our hometown. That's kind of where we get a lot of inspiration for our music and just the kind of community we really want to be in. So our last show was at Fail House with Fantastic Plastic and the Blinkouts and Battery Point. And we have another house show coming up at, I'm not sure what the name of the show, what the house is, but I know it's
On the 16th?
Yeah, it's on March 16th.
It's Secret Palace.
At Secret Palace, but I'll show you the secret. It's 3222 Southwest Water Avenue.
Nice. And how are these shows different than like a normal concert, I guess?
I just feel like the house shows, they have more of a community vibe. It just kind of feels like a house party, but also with music. And I feel like people are really there to appreciate and watch the music and just get to know the people that are there. And you'll end up making a bunch of friends by the end of the night. It's all usually just people who genuinely want to hear the music that people in their community are putting out, people around their age, and just everyone is so kind to each other. And it's just a really great time.
So the community, you'd say, is very about the music?
Yeah, definitely. It's just all about sharing your art, and most of the people who go tend to be musicians themselves as well, so people have a lot of stuff in common to talk about, and it's all just really nice and really fun. And also the perk is that they don't usually cost more than $5, and they're usually donation based, so it's really just about kind of just sharing with people, and there's less barriers to entry with attending. You know, it's not like a big venue show where it would be like $12, maybe $20 to see the band, and because maybe it's so cheap or not anything at all, people are way more likely to go, and the houses usually get super packed out. Yeah.
There's a whole community of people kind of... sorry. There's a whole community of people who kind of go to all the shows kind of religiously almost. I see people there who, like, every single day they're at a house show. I mean, if there's one going on, they're there, which is really cool. And it allows newer bands to really have an opportunity to be heard.
Yeah.
Whereas a lot of other places that we've played, if you're a newer band, people aren't going to come out to see you unless you're on a bill with a much bigger band. Here it's really cool. I mean, we all the time go to shows where we haven't heard of a single band on the list just to go to one of these shows and have fun.
Yeah, even this weekend we went to a show on Friday and a show on Saturday, and I had no idea who was playing. I just got an address, and every weekend I just say, let's go, let's find out. And sometimes the bands are up my alley, sometimes they aren't, but every time it's always fun. And I feel like people here just do the same thing. They just want to go somewhere where there's going to be music, there's going to be friends, and it's going to be fun. And I think I really connect with that, and so does Brandon.
You're
Definitely.
really into the indie Portland music scene?
Yeah, I think the genres vary a lot. Like sometimes at each show there will be like anything from like punk to indie to alternative to metal. You kind of never know what you're going to get. So
How did you guys go about getting booked for that type of thing?
So you can get booked for house shows one of two ways. Either I know it kind of sucks that we live in this like technology age, but a lot of it is through social media right now. So usually what I tend to do is I just find out about punk venues or usually other bands that I really like and really click with, their image, like who they are. And I will just message them and just say, hey, I love your guys' sound. I love your guys' look. Like, let's set something up together. Let's do something. Or if I see the venue, sometimes these houses have little Instagram or Facebook pages or whatever. I just say, let's organize something. Let's set something up. But then on the flip side too, Portland is really good for just connecting, just personal in real life too. So there's the whole social media side. But then there's also when we go to these shows, you meet all these people that are hosting the house, all the bands that are playing, and there's like that real person connection. And sometimes that actually works out a lot better when you see that. And yeah, Brandon's usually pretty good at that, talking to the other bands and the houses.
I mean, Portland's population is 660,000, so you have a tighter knit community here, I guess.
Yeah, you usually see like most of the same people when you go to the shows. Like that's how you build the communities. You get to know like all the people that are regulars, and everyone just kind of becomes friends through that.
Nice.
Definitely.
As for your songwriting process, how do you go about when you write a new song? Like, what's the first thing that goes into it?
Well, normally it just kind of comes out of nowhere. We live together. Me, her, and our little Pomeranian Mochi, who definitely helps with the songwriting process too. But so usually it just happens sometime in the late night, early hours of the morning. Just be hanging out and playing guitar or something, and kind of have a certain feeling I'm going for and trying to convey, and try to normally start with guitar, kind of fill out that sort of feeling with the sound, and then kind of move towards the vocal melody that kind of ties in with the guitar, and she normally writes the lyrics, or we kind of like co-write them. It's cool. I mean, we've known each other and been together for like 6.5 years now, so we have a really strong personal connection, and that really I think shows in the songwriting, especially like the lyric writing, because we very much do it together.
Yeah, once Brandon he just picks up his guitar and he gets that feeling and he starts playing something, I kind of hear something that sounds really good, and I look over to him, and we kind of, without even having to speak, we just think like, oh my gosh, I love how this is sounding. And then I pick up the bass and we start just playing something, and he's fleshing out those like vocal melodies, and then I start writing down like that feeling that I'm getting, and it just, I don't know, it just flows really easily. Definitely more than we've ever had with other people.
Yeah, that sounds great. And where do you guys like to record?
So I'm actually a audio engineering major at Portland State University.
Yeah.
And I've been doing audio engineering, live sound, all of that for, I don't know, almost as long as I've been playing music, which is somewhere around like 14, 15 years or so.
Mm-hmm.
And so with that major, we both have the opportunity to utilize their extremely nice studio that they have there. So anytime we can, really, we're in there all the time. We just find some time that the studio is available and go in and record. And yeah, it allows us to be more creative too, because instead of having to worry about having all the songs perfect before you go into the studio, like I've had to in the past before having this opportunity, you can kind of just like not even have anything in mind, just go into the studio and just kind of let your creativity flow.
Experiment.
Yeah, and just experiment with stuff. They have awesome equipment in there. They have beautiful mics. They have mics that are made specifically for that school by a local mic designer in Portland called
mics.
Yeah, these ones are a little less, but
Okay.
they're it's a really cool vintage company called Ear Trumpet Labs here in Portland, and they
Very
also
cool.
have some beautiful pianos there. So anything, kind of just like build upon something, go in there and just start something and build upon it.
You have some recordings with piano on it?
Not at the moment, but I work with a few different bands, and just not trying to tie ourselves into like any specific thing.
Yeah.
Just like whatever creatively starts happening, kind of work with that. And if it kind of fits in with what we're doing, then maybe we'll put it on the album. But if it doesn't, it's just something that I do.
And what instruments do you play?
I play quite a lot. I started with drums when I was really, really young. And that's always been my main thing. But I've been playing guitar for just about as long, and yeah, guitar, bass, piano. I play mandolin and violin as well, which are really fun. Currently trying to get better at violin.
Nice.
But yeah, all sorts of stuff. A little bit of cello, lots of other weird instruments.
So you were classically trained then, I assume?
Somewhat kind of like with drums, I was more trained, but a lot of it has to do with like self-teaching myself. Pretty much anything other than drums, and a little bit with guitar. I'm self-taught.
Wasn't like that movie with the crazy drummer teacher.
Whiplash?
Yeah.
That was too real.
A little bit of that. I had a drum teacher back in middle school, junior high, actually, who he was very strict, but honestly, without him, I wouldn't be the musician I am today. He very much sculpted the musician I am today out of kind of rebellious asshole little kid.
Other people watching that movie think that guy was crazy, but you could appreciate where...
I can appreciate where he's coming from a little bit. I mean, it's a little bit exaggerated.
Did
in
you ever
that movie,
bleed?
I think. What?
Did you ever bleed like that one kid?
I've cut my fingers open playing drums quite a few times, but
It was all worth it.
Not necessarily from the lessons, but just from being a angsty little kid and trying to hit my drums as hard as I can, and those rims are not fun on your fingers.
Yeah.
And what was like the band's influences, would you say?
Nina?
I'd say, like, you know, when you're at a party and there's the peak of the party where you know that, like, this is, like, the funnest moment I'm having right now. You're just having, like, a good time, and you just, like, forget everything else that's going on in your life, and you're just, like, truly living in the present, you know? I'm just really inspired by that. Like, we're just kind of, like, reliving, like, parties past, you know, and all those memories that we've had at fun parties in Southern California where we're from and up here. And it's all about, I think I just want to, like, with our music, just have fun and, like, kind of just forget about all of the awful things that are going on in our world right now and just live in the present, just have a good time.
Musically, I think too, like bands that we're influenced by. There's one that we're really into right now is called Skeggs,
Okay.
Skegss. And they're this kind of surf rock, kind of garage band from Australia,
Yeah.
and they're fantastic. We love everything that they come up with, and I guess they're coming to California in a little bit, and we're gonna make the trip down definitely to see them. I've been very excited to see them for a while, and also bands like Waves, Fiddler, a lot of these surf rock, garage rock bands that are around right now. Waves in particular, actually, at their last Portland show, he ended up smashing his guitar that he's had for quite a while. I've seen him playing shows with that thing for quite some time.
Uh-huh.
And So it really is like much of their sound. And he ended up smashing that guitar at the end of this long tour. And he gave Nina and I like a big chunk of the guitar, including the pick guard, which is actually this one right here. I ended up taking it off of the broken piece and soldering and putting it together into this guitar with the help of some guys at Black Book Guitars here in Portland.
Nice.
And yeah, it sounds fantastic. It's it was crazy. I plugged it in and it's their sound right out of the box. I love this thing, and it's very much a prevalent sound on our upcoming record.
Yeah, I don't think he would have smashed that guitar if he wasn't as drunk as he was.
He was about 2.5 bottles of Jameson in.
And smoking joints on stage, so I think he very much probably regretted it the next morning, but we thank him.
Thank you, Nathan.
Do you prefer Fender to Les Paul then?
I actually have I have like 3 Strats. They're all actually Squier Strats that I've modified.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, most of the Squier Strats I've played are kind of not into it, kind of garbage.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I found a few really, really nice ones that just like are definitely outliers. And are fantastic to play, and I absolutely love them. So I'm more towards Strats, but I have a Les Paul Jr. as well, that I absolutely love. It's kind of a reissue on like the 1960s Les Paul Juniors, which for anybody who doesn't know is kind of like they were a entry level guitar back in the 50s.
Angus Young played one.
I don't know. I think he did. I could be wrong though. But they're a Les Paul body without all the contouring, and just one single P90 pickup, which is a really angry, just straightforward punk kind of pickup. They were initially meant for like just kids, and they ended up making them really nicely, and people started adopting them. Adults started adopting them and putting them in their music, and in like kind of the 70s, 80s, and into like the 90s and stuff. The punk scene in like New York and the East Bay really adopted that guitar as their own, because of its kind of angry growl, and its simplicity too. It's got 2 knobs, 1 pickup, and there's not much you can do with it other than play really loud and have a lot of fun with it. So I love that guitar, but the Strats give a little bit more, you have a little bit more options with your sound. But yeah.
Who writes most of the lyrics?
I would say that I write the lyrics.
Where do they come from?
I don't know. They just come from the feeling when I was talking earlier, when Brandon just starts playing his guitar and he gets that similar feeling too. I close my eyes and I think how the music is making me feel, like what thoughts I'm having and like points of life and memories and stuff like that. And I just start writing it down. It just seems to, like, when I hear that guitar part, it just flows out from my hand onto the pen and paper. And then I kind of show Brandon, and then if he vibes with that same feeling too. And most of the time he'll actually be like, oh my God, I was actually feeling the same way when I was playing the guitar. And then he'll kind of just flesh it out. Yeah.
Yeah, sorry. With that relationship that we've kind of had, it makes it so like, anything that we write, I mean, we kind of, without even talking to each other, kind of, I don't know, connect on it and write something that like she's saying, she'll write lyrics and they'll end up being exactly the feeling that I was going for without even saying a thing to her about like kind of what was in my head. So it really works, and I think people hear in the record, it really kind of sounds like one person wrote it. you wouldn't really, unless you know that there's kind of two people kind of co-writing the lyrics and the feeling of it, and like combining that together to like really embody the feeling of the song.
Yeah, sometimes I feel like we're identical twins where like we don't even have to talk to know what each other is thinking, and that's like kind of crazy but also really convenient for writing music.
Yeah. And you told me that you're working with a modeling company?
Yeah. So I do a lot of modeling. I got, again, going to shows and stuff. That's where it all happened, I guess, is I ended up going to a festival in Southern California called Beach Goth. And there was a scout there who asked me if I wanted to model, and I ended up in Paris a few weeks later modeling for Hedy Slimane. The company was at the time Yves Saint Laurent, or Saint Laurent Paris, and he ended up moving over in the past few years to Celine. Now he's the head guy, creative director, image artistic director at Celine, and I'm over there working with them now, and it's a lot of fun. I love working with Hedy. He is a fantastic guy, and he's very, very much into the music scene and much of the underground music scene, and it's really cool to see. He kind of finds these unknown bands, relatively unknown bands, and kind of brings them more into the spotlight. Like the last show I just did with him a few weeks ago was the first like menswear show for the brand, and he brought this band in to do the soundtrack. This band from Vancouver, Canada, called Crack Cloud, and they're fantastic. I hadn't heard of them at the time, but they're an amazing band, and they ended up playing the after party too, so I got to see them perform live, and their drummer, kind of like with us, I mean, at our live shows, I sing from behind the drums.
Yeah.
Wow. And we have a guitarist with us who plays with us on stage. So I'll like write the guitar parts, and then we have a friend of ours who will, when we're performing, he'll play guitar, and sometimes we'll switch off between it. Yeah, they have a drummer as well who sings and plays. So that was really cool to watch. They're just an amazing band. It's like 11 people or something in the band, and or I guess it's called a kind of a creative art music collective. So it's this big group of people who compose these amazing, very dancey kind of.
It's pretty unique. I don't
it's
think I
very
could.
unique,
I don't
yeah.
think I could name another band that's similar to it to compare it to. When you hear it, when I first heard it, I was like, "What's going on? I don't know if I like this." But then I kept hearing it and listening to it, and I was like, "Whoa, this is like really new. Like this could be something really great." And it's like, I don't know how I would describe it. 80s synthy, but also punk.
Yeah, I think that's a good way of describing it. We found a band. Actually, last night we were at a house show, and there was a band that's the closest thing I've kind of heard to them. They were really great. They're a local band called the UVs, Yuvees. They're great, and I guess the singer has heard of Crack Cloud too, which was surprising. He started singing some of the songs to me after I mentioned it, but that was really cool. And yeah, just seeing them perform, that definitely inspired me a lot. And we incorporate a lot of different styles of music into our own. We kind of have sort of a garagey, surfy, like undertones, and then we kind of, in different songs, explore different like musical inspirations, and kind of tie those in with the other songs, and Yeah, sometimes things sound way off from the other stuff that we're doing, and sometimes they fit in more, but I think it's just about finding what you enjoy playing.
We just
and
want
makes
to
you
play
happy.
what like feels right, and if
Yeah.
it's we don't want to like bound ourselves to some specific genre and feel so fenced in that like if we think that this guitar part sounds cool, like we can just play it, we're not just kept in and locked in, and that feels really refreshing.
Yeah. When you play a live show, do you have backing tracks? How does that go with instrumentation usually?
So like I was saying earlier, I'll normally play drums live. I write the guitar, the drums, and then like the vocal melodies. So she'll usually write the lyrics, or we'll like write them together, and then I'll write the vocal melodies to kind of like tie them into the song.
Yeah.
So live, I'll usually play drums and sing from behind the drums, and then she'll play bass, and then a friend of ours will play guitar for us, but he also plays drums, so a lot of times we'll switch off on certain songs and I'll play guitar. Nina sings as well a little bit.
I
that's
pretty
a really
much just
fun one.
yell on one kind of angsty song we have, like back to that thing of not keeping in this specific genre. There's one song that I wrote when I was like feeling particularly angry and I just really wanted to scream for that song.
Like a harmonic backing or anything?
No. But yeah, I usually am the one who like kind of interacts with the audience a lot during live shows. I try and keep it interesting. At some of our shows, I've had a little Trump voodoo doll and I've had the audience help me like stick pins in the places they want, like in the eyes or in the ass or wherever. And I've had the audience pull off party poppers, like a little celebration. And also I think our funnest one was I had a piñata during our last song. That was kind of the most energetic song. Actually, the one that we're about to release soon.
Yeah.
And I just passed out a bunch of little sticks to everyone. And I held the piñata over a stick over like the mosh pit audience, and everyone just went crazy, just hitting it as hard as they could. And it was just really fun. So I definitely really like to interact with the audience and get them involved and like help them have as much fun watching us as we're having playing for people.
Nice.
Absolutely, yeah.
Is it all about the music, or do you guys also take into consideration like stage presence, outfits, things like that?
Oh, definitely.
Definitely stage presence and stuff. Like we just kind of want to wear like the wildest thing we have, honestly. So like, I mean, it's more interesting to look at someone that's wearing maybe something a little interesting or different rather than just you go to some shows and some guys just wearing black shirt, black pants, and which that's totally fine. But we just like to express our personality through our clothes, which I feel is a little bit eccentric. And definitely, we just want people to like be able to have fun and, like I was saying, just get involved. So that's definitely like one of the biggest factors.
Nice.
Yeah.
So you try to put something different together for a different show, like depending on what show, where it is and stuff?
Yeah, just I kind of like feel out like how many people are going to be there, like whether or not it's a venue or a house show. Like the show that I was talking about where we had where I held up the piñata and had everyone smash it, and I put a bunch of candy and shot bottles in there. That was for our New Year's Eve show, and I knew there was going to be a lot of people for New Year's Eve because
no joints in there.
I did not think of that one.
Maybe for next one. That's a good idea, actually. Have them in the little tubes.
I mean, the last band was telling me that they bribed the sound guy with the joint. And it usually comes out good when they do that.
Bribed him for what?
Just to make sure that they don't do a crappy job. Just like throwing the joint.
Yeah, I mean...
That's a form of payment.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if it's exactly a bribe, but they didn't say that at all. But
it's a good way to make sure you sound good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely feel out the audience though, like how many people are going to be there, and just I just want to do something different every time, kind of like surprise people and just have them participate, because that's what I mean, those are the things that I remember when I go to shows, all the crazy stuff that the band did. Like the band last night was just at the end of their set, they were just clambering over the drum set. He was just I think he let the drummer piggyback the guitarist for a minute for just no reason.
This poor little jazz drum set. I was like, no, the drummer inside of me. It's like, no. But
those are usually those are usually the things you remember. Like, it's kind of like, I mean, when you go to a live show, it's kind of like on the back of your mind, like the music was really good. But like on the forefront of your mind is like kind of the crazy stuff that they were doing live too. So
nice.
Yeah.
And as far as marketing promotion, who does most of that? And like what kind of marketing do you guys like to use?
I guess I would say that I'm kind of responsible for that because I am also a business major at Portland State. A little bit unrelated. I'm definitely trying to like on the side do music industry kind of business stuff. So that's really my focus. But kind of the marketing stuff that goes into our band is usually just like a little bit of common sense. Like, you don't really need a business degree to know this, but like, I just think it's really important to play live shows before releasing a bunch of albums. Sometimes it's all up to them, but I just think that releasing an album first before playing shows is kind of just a little bit silly. You know, you want people in the community to get to know you and kind of, I don't know, have something to look forward to, like releasing music. And also, I guess I try to do branding with Pinchy, our little lobster. He's kind of our mascot. He likes to crowd surf at shows, and we just love lobsters, and we're all for lobster liberation.
We take him to the beach and kind of set him free for a moment. He always comes back, whether that's him or the waves bringing him back. Well, I don't think we'll know, but
No,
I like to think that he likes being here too.
But yeah, I definitely, on the marketing thing again, I just really like to, I think, even though it kind of sucks, I think social media is really important because there's a lot of, homebodies who don't really there's a lot of people who don't really like to go out to shows that much, and they still need a platform to be able to find out about us. So there's that. And also we really like to just talk to people. We try to be as kind as we can. We're just really think that being nice and genuine is really the way to go for any aspect of your life. And I feel like our just word of mouth and connecting with people, and maybe if people hear about just our fun show and just how we dance and stuff, that would really get the word out there. But yeah, we're not really trying to focus too much on only marketing. We just really want to be creative with our music right now and see where it goes from there.
You guys are more in the school of the independent label versus the traditional label? Or would you?
I think so, yeah. We haven't looked too much into labels yet. I think we're gonna put this album out just our own kind of a DIY sort of thing. And I think after that we might look into there's some really cool local indie labels in Portland. We were just talking to a guy from Tender Loving Empire, and that's a really cool one. There's a bunch around here, big and small, and
I just wouldn't want to get too tied down. I hear some of the contracts are for many years, and I'm not sure. We're not too sure where our creative path is going to take us. So my biggest concern is just I wouldn't want to be locked down with a contract, and there's also the recoupment fees where you have to pay thousands of dollars before you ever see a profit. Yeah, you have to, it's pretty much their loan sharks in a way, I guess, where they give you the money to record, and then it might be a while, but yeah, we just don't want to feel tied down just yet, but who knows? We're always open to everything.
Yeah. I think the industry's heading toward a more independent way because you're recording by yourself. So
definitely, yeah.
It's not too hard to just also manage yourself, market yourself, book yourself. You're already doing one aspect of the business anyway.
Yeah, especially with our music too. It is more of a surfy garagey, which is kind of fuzzy anyways. So we don't need the best of the best of the best equipment, even though we have access to pretty good equipment anyways. And Brandon's already pretty skilled in
those
engineering.
Those local mics, the Ear Trumpet Labs, those are great because get a very warm kind of, you can get a nice kind of vintage sound out of them. They look really cool. I urge anybody to look them up and check those out. They're really cool. You can get much of like the sound that we're going for, and also maintain a really nice quality as well. But we've also recorded like just one just SM58 or something over the whole band, or something recorded with computer mic, anything. I mean, anywhere you are, just recording music and getting it down, I think, is the way to go.
Nice. If you were offered back when Firefest was going on, if you were offered a spot, would you have taken it?
A ticket to go, or
no, like actual to play?
A spot to
and
play.
They were like, we're not going to pay you yet, but we want you to play.
Dude, why not? I would say yes, honestly. Like I've slept in worse places. Like I don't have that high standards. Like I'd sleep on the beach. Like, you know, I would honestly, yeah, I would really want to do it because I'd want to like give those people that went like a chance to like forget about like how screwed over they got.
Yeah.
Like at least they could say like, well, that band was all right. Like maybe that'll make up for.
I wouldn't want to contribute to any. I mean, all the working people on that island really suffered. I mean, joking aside, but like, I don't know. I definitely agree with Nina. Like, I would want to give them something to enjoy if they're already there, man.
Yeah, I would also, like what Brandon was saying, I would also really want to help the workers in any way I could. I would help them like revolt against Billy.
There's actually a petition out that I found for, if any of you guys have watched that documentary that's up on, I think Netflix or something. I think I like the
Netflix one more.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's better.
Yeah.
The woman who owned or worked at the restaurant there, who I think she poured like $50,000 or something of her own money into paying the workers because the people setting up the festival, they just ghosted everyone, I guess, just dipped yeah, so there's a petition now. I think it's like people have really come out, and I think people have helped her like recoup that money and more, which is really nice.
You guys plan on playing Medina Fest 5?
I don't think Medina Fest 5 is happening, apparently.
Really?
I really hope it does, but
it was a really fun show.
The person that owns that house, her name is Joanna, and I think she was very upset with the condition that her house was left in, and I definitely tried to clean up as much as I could before I left, but I've hosted house shows myself at my own place, and surprisingly, even if you put out trash cans, people will kind of wreck your house. I think people in Portland are a lot more polite, but there's something about Southern California. There will be Modelos everywhere and Pacificos.
It's a lot of high school students, I think, too, high school age people, I don't know, they haven't gotten to a place, they're still very angsty, and they haven't gotten to a place where they really like respect the place. I mean, they're awesome like audience. They have a bunch of fun. I remember being that age and going to shows all the time, and I was a bit like that too, so I understand where you're at, but I think respect has definitely should have a place in that. I mean, you got to think about the people who are throwing these shows. Without these shows, you wouldn't have this local house music scene, and especially in San Diego. To talk about that for a second, there was nothing of a music scene back when I was in high school. It was awful. I mean, there was a few little venues around, but nobody had house shows. There wasn't anything like that. So now there's this big emerging local music scene where everybody's just pitching in and everybody's doing it themselves. And it's beautiful. I'm so proud of my hometown for doing that, and I really wish that was there when I was in high school, but I'm glad it's there now, and I'm glad it's there for all the people doing it. But you got to respect the people who are actually going out and like putting in the work to set these shows up, because I mean, we've done it. We've set up a bunch of shows bunch of house shows and stuff, and they've all turned out really great. But I mean, at the end of the night, you see everything's broken.
Because the thing is, like, most of the people.
Punk rock.
Yeah, but the thing is, like, the shows that I've thrown and most of these shows in Medina Fest, they're all free just to be able to have people just have a place to go and enjoy the music. Like, it's genuinely just they're giving up so much. They're risking, like, getting anything stolen, getting anything broken. So there's, they're just doing it out of the goodness of their hearts, and it kind of hurts when people aren't respectful. So maybe for next Medina Fest, I will tell Joanna that I'll pay for a cleaning crew afterwards to be able to have it. I really hope she decides to have it again.
Definitely. That was a really fun show. That was great. That was our New Year's show. Yeah, I love that. I really hope we can do that again.
Yeah.
Do you ever play with other surf rock bands in Portland? Are they around here?
No, we're kind of like I think we're the only surf rock band in the Pacific Northwest.
I never really thought about that.
Bringing vitamin D here. Like,
yeah,
I'm sure they're around.
There's definitely
but
like bands that incorporate some of the like surfy sound.
Yeah.
And I mean, even us, like, not all of the stuff that we play is strictly surf rock stuff.
Yeah.
We have kind of a range, and some of our stuff is more like straightforward, kind of like alternative punk sort of stuff. Some's more indie. But yeah, we have a range of sound, and I think a lot of the bands around here have a range of sound, and sometimes that incorporates some surfy stuff. I think not necessarily like surfy, but a little bit of that kind of like 60s sound. A local band called Shadowgraphs, who we went to go see recently. They're really great. Yeah, there's definitely bands who incorporate it in.
Were you surfers?
I
Nope.
Never. I surfed when I was younger, and I've always been at the beach down there and stuff, but never was too much into it. But I have a lot of friends who are surfers, and I have some great memories of going to the beach with them at early hours in the morning, and I would end up mostly sitting on the sand with his guitar, a friend of mine's guitar, and writing songs as they went in. And yeah, it's a lot of fun. That whole environment is very kind of nostalgic and inspirational in the music, influential to our music.
Yeah, same here. Like I grew up very close to the beach, so we were only like maybe I could walk to the beach if I wanted to. I mean, it was a little bit like maybe like a 5-minute drive or something like that. So I have very fond memories, like Brandon was saying, of going to the beach, but honestly, I'm terrified of sharks. So I always I have so many friends that surf, and I always watch them surf, but like me, honestly, I'm kind of like still scared of going into the water. But yeah, we definitely love just the surf rock sound and everything that's like all just the fun, mellow, chill memories of it.
Guys into bands like Beach House, Best Coast, Tame Impala?
Yeah, definitely. I remember actually the guy who I was talking about just now, a friend of mine named Colin, who I would go to the beach and write music with while they're surfing and stuff. He showed me Tame Impala years and years ago. Back, they were just this little, cute little band from Perth, I think, in Australia, and I don't think they had even come to the U.S. for any shows at that time, and it's really cool to have watched them kind of explode, and they're this huge band now, and it's cool to watch them from that little band really get successful. It's definitely cool to see that. And Beach House, and what was the other one you mentioned?
Best Coast.
Best Coast. Yeah. We saw them a little while ago. They're
like,
kind of connected with Waves too.
Nice.
They're they've co-written like Summer Is Forever, which is like a little
it's a great
EP
one, yeah.
thing, and yeah, they're so great.
I really like their songwriting. Like,
yeah,
it's really emotional the way that their atmosphere of their songs.
Absolutely. I love their stuff. Yeah. All three of those bands are great.
You ever hear of a band called Kings of Convenience? They're more European, so probably not.
Do you know where they're from, like in Europe?
Good question. I think it was like Britain or something,
Okay.
but really good band. What about Bird and the Bee? That's an LA based band,
No.
also very indie. So
Yeah.
I had discovered these bands when Spotify had apps on PC within the app.
Yeah.
It's called Sound Drop, basically. That's how I used to promote my own music, actually.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah.
I'll definitely check them out. I'm
Yeah.
always looking for new music.
Do you guys have any releases on Spotify currently right now?
No, so we're still working. This single that we're releasing is gonna be our first like actual release.
Yeah.
We have a little demo right now, but it's not up anywhere. Yeah, this single will be the first thing, and we'll have it up on Spotify, iTunes, Apple Music, everywhere, so people
Nice.
can find it. We're also, I think, gonna at least when we go into the album, we're gonna print it as well on cassette, vinyl, CD,
Yeah.
everything. So people who want to listen to it through that method. I know that I definitely prefer listening to physical copies. Sitting around with a cassette player, vinyl.
Nice. You like vinyl and cassette?
Yeah. I mean, I grew up with a lot of like music that was only on vinyl records that I got from friends and from my dad and stuff. So I mean, there was of course CDs and there was iTunes and stuff, but like you couldn't find any of this stuff on there, so I ended up getting more into that just out of necessity. And yeah, I really enjoy it, just like having that copy that you can kind of see and just like lay around and listen to the record while you kind of examine the album artwork. I think that's kind of I don't know, it's a very nostalgic thing for me, and I really enjoyed doing that. And there's you don't get much of that from.
You guys are gonna do a physical release then, you think?
Definitely, yeah.
Nice.
With the album, we'll definitely do a physical release. Possibly with the single too. But I think fairly soon after the single release, we'll be putting out the album. But if we don't put out the album soon after, then I think we'll do a physical release of the single.
What about T-shirts and stuff like that?
Oh, definitely.
Definitely.
Yeah. I'm definitely going to start with some stickers. We have some designs right now. We're just hashing them out right now. Definitely, they include Pinchy, just a little hint right there.
Who's more artistic?
I would
we're
say
both very
both of us.
artistic.
I think we're artistic in different ways, but
Yeah.
they like mesh together really
Nina
well.
is an amazingly creative person, and her creativity kind of knows no bounds, kind of comes out in any medium that kind of is around her. She's great at like crocheting, painting,
Nice.
all of these different things that
Dancing too, aerial dance.
yeah, and like sewing and like just making stuff. She made this awesome amp cover. I think it's like, if you look on our Instagram, there's some photos of it maybe on some of our live shows. Maybe not, I don't know.
I was
but
actually thinking
you'll see
about.
it
I was actually
eventually.
thinking about making custom amp covers.
Yeah.
Because I think I went to Old Town Music or something, and I saw those amps that have like that Corvette diner like style 50s amp cover, and I was like,
the
whoa.
vinyl one, or like,
Yeah,
or whatever,
like where it's
whatever
all
material that is,
sparkly
the
and
kind
red.
of
It looks
puffy-
like the booths in the diner.
Yeah.
And I was like, dude, this would be so cool if this was like furry leopard shag or something like that. Like, I'd love to just be able to like stroke it and pet it or whatever on my own bass amp. So I just decided to just buy some fabric. I'm not super experienced at sewing, but I just learned and just without a pattern just sewed this thing. And I don't know, I always get compliments on it and people think that I bought it. So I was thinking like, I would love to like make this for other people, like in pink fur and like red fur. So yeah, I'm thinking about doing that soon.
Nice. Yeah, you should design something that goes like around the bass and the guitar and amps, like everything.
Just
Custom
all
everything.
fur, just all
Yeah.
shag.
No, I think I've seen a guitar somewhere that was like covered in fur. I've definitely seen like some like lap steel guitars too that are covered in that kind of shag fur. It would be awesome to have a bass or a guitar, as long as it doesn't get too much in the way of the strings.
I think it's good for recording because less reflections. It's like pretty much.
Yeah.
You don't have to buy those foam things.
Yeah, definitely. The bane of my existence is flat walls and flat surfaces.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I also love putting I have little fairy lights all around the corners of my base. So when we're playing a house show or something and it's really dark, I can just flip it on and the whole thing lights up. And yeah, I just like doing I don't know, I guess I'm creative in a bunch of random ways, I
love
guess.
it.
And Brandon's very creative with music, I'd definitely say
Definitely more with music. Art too. I've been painting and drawing, and I mean, as long as I can remember, but I think I'm mostly music, yeah.
If somebody were to give you a nice lobster dinner at the end of a show, would you eat it?
Absolutely not.
no. Lobster liberation. Save the lobsters. We're here to spread awareness.
Yeah, we don't eat any meat or anything, so yeah.
I mean, we try not to.
I didn't notice your earring too. That's great.
Oh yeah, I got another little Pinchy Junior on my earring right here.
Very cool.
But yeah, we're vegan, but we try not to shove it down people's throats like some people. But I think the whole thing about lobsters is that I was swimming in the beach one day this summer, right before we started the band, and I saw this whole entire lobster body in the water, and I was just I just felt so sad, but also I was just fascinated. I just started this fascination for lobsters. I was they're so cool and so underappreciated, and I think that's just kind of how it all started.
I mean, on another subject with that, just overfishing and everything is just so horrible with that. So I think jokingly and casually, but also really promoting with Pinchy. I mean, people keep thinking that we're trying to promote eating lobster. It's the opposite. I think there's a lot of overfishing and it's doing horrible damage to the planet and otherwise, and I think working against that is something that we can all strive to do.
As far as fishing, I guess both are terrible, but which would you rather go with, catch and release or just catch and actually use the fish that you get?
I mean, I think releasing it is better regardless, because I mean,
you're not killing
it, and anytime you don't kill it, I think is better off. I mean,
I think I mean, I'm not a supporter of hunting in any way. I guess I would rather have someone fishing rather than killing sentient beings hunting. But yeah, I just think there's better hobbies out there, learn how to sew, or I don't know, play video games of it. I just think there's better things out there that don't cause harm to others.
Yeah, it's a good philosophy. So you guys want to play a song, right?
Sure, yeah. I can play a song for you guys.
There's a bass there. I don't know. Would you want to use that?
Yeah, sure. It doesn't have to be plugged in or anything.
Is there a way to plug that?
Yeah, there is.
Okay, so that would be really cool if we could do that.
They get extra cable for you.
Okay.
I'm ignoring it all, hands over my ear saying la la la. It's my battle call. Battle call. Watching the world and down from California to New York town. Ignoring it all, hands over my ear, saying la la la. It's my battle call. It's blowing up, but I'm dancing in the flames. It's burning down. I'm dancing in the flames. In the flames. Cause it's the truth, it's just a burden of my youth. Ignoring it all, hands over my ear, saying la la la. It's my battle call. It's blowing up, but I'm dancing in the flames. It's burning down. I'm dancing in the flames. Flames, in the flames, in the flames.
All right. What was that song called again?
It's called Hammerhead.
It's a little more poppy, less surfy with that one. Yeah, as I said before, there's like a range of stuff that we do. So some of our other stuff is a lot more surfy. Some other stuff is more kind of, I don't know.
That was more punk, I think.
Yeah,
that one.
more punky.
Yeah.
We have other surfier stuff. Don't have my bar with me. And get some of that. Oh.
I think it might be. Oh,
Mine doesn't work because it doesn't screw in that
Oh,
way. But
really?
it looks like it works for yours, maybe.
maybe. I think it might be the right size.
You can have it then, because
Let's see. Oh,
that
is
doesn't
the right
work for my
size.
guitar, and I bought it on
Really?
eBay a while ago. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, because the Squire ones I think are a different size.
Yeah, that's cool.
Nine to 5, such a fucking waste of time. No, not the way I'm gonna go. I refuse to believe this is what I'm meant to be. No. Go to the beach and I'll be free. No. None of it sounds peachy. No. Go to the beach and I'll be free. No. None of it sounds peachy keen. Losing my mind, so fuck with done. Yeah, fuck living like that. I refuse to believe this is where I'm meant to be. No. Dorothy cannot be free. No. None of it sounds peachy. No. Dorothy cannot be free. No. None of it sounds peachy keen. It's way up here. Guitar, the wiring bar setup is a lot sensitive, so you can get crazy bombs and stuff with it. But thank you, I love it. Whoever had it before me left it out in the sun. And it ended up turning like this seafoam kind of turquoise color with the sparkles, and then the white pickguard turned like this cream color. So it's a really cool looking guitar now, and I think it'd look fantastic with a nice maple fretboard. Give it that real 60s surf look, maybe a more like yellow fretboard. Yeah.
What year is that?
This one?
Yeah.
So I don't know what year. I mean, since it's the combination of the two guitars, the body I think is a 90s one. I got it at this shop in San Dimas, I think, on our way back up to Portland this winter. And the pickguard and the whole setup, all the sound and everything is straight from Nathan Williams from Waves of Strat. So this is essentially, this is his guitar, but it's just a different body that it's in. Yeah, so I don't know what year this one is, but him and Fender, they work together, I guess, I think. Awesome. And I think they've designed specific stuff, because there's stuff in this guitar that I haven't seen anywhere else. So I don't know. I'd love to talk to him about it and find out what the situation is with it, because some of the stuff when he smashed the guitar got broken in here, and I had to fix it up, tape some stuff up with some electrical tape and duct tape and stuff.
There was still some Jameson in there.
Yeah, there's still quite a, you can even see some of it right in here and next to the pickups. I was worried that this pickup was wrecked because of the Jameson. Turned out just wasn't plugged in. But it's a great sounding guitar. I love this thing. It's
guitars are great.
Yeah, it's my favorite thing right now. Take it everywhere.
I was playing a DiMarino body that they used to have this shop in Long Island, New York, where this guy somehow got a hold of DiMarinos, which are hard to
Mhm.
get.
Yeah.
It's like Lennon's guitar or whatever.
Oh wow.
But yeah, he ended up combining the Telecaster neck with a DiMarino body, and that's
Yeah?
the guitar I grew up playing.
Oh,
It's
wow.
amazing.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Do you still have it?
My friend has it. He's in New York right now. I've tried to get it from him, but
That's
it's not
so
happening.
cool.
Yeah. It was great having you guys on.
Yeah. Thank you so much for having us.
Yeah,
Really
We love being here.
absolutely. Hopefully, I'll check in with you guys.
Yeah.
In about a year, and we'll see where you're at.
Awesome. Yeah, we'd love to come back, and we'll of course send you a copy of like the single and the album. Do you?
One last thing though.
Yeah.
So if you're not into, can you hear me for this?
Oh, maybe come a little closer.
Yeah. So
Or-
if
here you
you're
go.
not, if you're not into the whole house show thing, we're having a show at Turn on March 13th, and then if you are into the house show vibe, come check us out at 3222 Southwest Water Avenue at the Secret Palace. We're going to be playing with Dimwit and Emerging Virgins. So yeah, either one, whichever's your vibe, bar or house show. gonna
Two
be
really
happening
great bands, by the way.
March 13th and 16th.
If you haven't seen Dimwit, I urge you to check them out. They're these two guys, and they got a crazy live show. You guys are funny as hell.
Oh yeah, and if you want to check us out on Instagram, we also have our Instagram handle is that Sans Band.
All one
Thank
word.
you.
Yeah.
You can notice that we have a lobster as the profile picture.
It's Pinchy.
It's Pinchy.
It says I'm gonna run out of disk space. That never happened.
Oh.
It said 90.